Why such a big outcry the day? ActionSA says the increases are unjustified as the city already is on its knees. For more on this, we're joined now by the party's caucus leader, Zark Lebatlang. Good to have you. Thank you very much for your time, Zark. Let's start right there. Is this an unexpected political move by the Democratic Alliance on your part when you look at it?
Good evening, Thabo, and good evening to your viewers. It's quite surprising listening to the clip of the DA leader. In fact, if you look at the facts, the city is going to spend over 5.5 million per year. 5.5 million per year for councillors. This is part of the increase package. Secondly, you have the city also going to spend about 20,000 rand per councillor per year. And we are quite concerned as ActionSA, and that's why we took a decision not to support this particular item, to ensure that we put our message and our statement clearly that we want services, and all monies that are going to go to the city should be prioritized for service delivery.
So there's quite a lot there that you need to distill and come slowly with it. One, they say that the upper limits does not just include the increase, they include also training and development. They also include the well-being of councillors, who they say, by the way, are also residents in the country. So they are equally affected by the 2% hikes in property rates, the 9 point odd in water, and the 14.97 in electricity. So they are already not earning enough, that's what they are saying, to be able to meet these needs.
Look, as ActionSA, we've taken a very rational and conscious decision, because if we are aware of the inflation prices, and also in terms of cost of goods and services, but we need to look at the bigger picture, because if you look at the quality being rendered to the residents of Johannesburg and the backlog in terms of services also rendered to the residents, and that the city basically doesn't have money to spend, especially on public servants, and not on residents of the city of Johannesburg. And the funny thing is that, Thabo, the DA, which has voted with the ANC on this particular item, wants the city to be dissolved. But at the same time, it goes to a council meeting and votes on an item that is going to increase salaries of councillors. So we need to ask a very important question. What then is the position of the DA in terms of the council of the city of Johannesburg? Because their argument is that the city is not working. We need to go back to a by-election. But here you have a party that goes back and supports a motion or a particular item that's going to increase salaries of the same councillors that they want a council to be dissolved. And you ask yourself, what is the position of the DA really? That's why we have taken a decision as ActionSA to say we are not going to be in support in any party of this particular item, and we want to prioritize service delivery, and all monies coming to the city should be prioritized on service delivery. So
here's what they're saying. They're saying exactly why we are calling for a dissolution. So those who are crying out about this salary hike support the dissolution. Then for 90 days, we will not be earning those salaries, and we'll start from scratch, and we'll be able to then get a fresh mandate.
Yes, Thabo, we are saying to the DA, for you to dissolve a council, you need a majority. And for you to need a majority, you need to go to different parties. So if you are the DA and you say you don't want to work with a party like the PA, how are you then going to get a majority? And those are the things that we are saying to the DA, is that when you get a majority to dissolve council, you have to have 179 votes to pass for a council to be dissolved. That begs to the question that says, should our focus be really in terms of politicking or ensuring that residents get the best services, or should we have a council that is well functioned, that has services, that has the right amount of financial fiscal, so that we can actually render services to residents? So the DA needs to answer these questions, because there's a clear confusion. On the one side, you want to dissolve council. On the one side, you are voting for salaries to increase. So then which direction should council take? Because on the one side you are speaking this, on the other side you are doing another thing. So perhaps the DA needs to answer that question. Which direction should council really take?
So let's look at the other issues and tell me how true are these facts that For example, some ward councillors would work 20 hours a day, and therefore their remuneration compared to the hours that they put in does not equate. And if we want, as you say, service delivery at that level, we need to incentivize these ward councillors, especially for the kind of hours that they put in.
Service delivery is in fact, Thabo, implemented by officials. We as ward councillors and PR councillors are representatives of the community. And our job is to be a liaison between officials and the city entities. And that's why when we go to council to pass a budget, right? And you passing a budget, you need to go and consult grants from National Treasury. You need to consult different financial institutions so that you can have a well-funded budget. So councillors getting an increase is not going to speed up any problem solution or speed up any backlog of services if you don't have a well-functioned city that is run by officials that are capable, that is run by a budget that is funded. So the idea that says that the more money you give for public reps is going to give more services to residents is quite not a fact. The fact of the matter is that you need to ensure that monies that are coming from National Treasury and also from the provincial government is well spent, there's no corruption, there's a proper management in place so that you can hold officials accountable so that services can be delivered to the residents of Johannesburg. So an increase to a councillor is not going to deliver speedily deserved services to residents. Yeah. So therefore, we don't see the logic behind giving money to councillors that is going to result in better services.
Yeah. Councillor Lebatlang, talk to me about this other claim. Do you transport yourself when you go and do your work as a councillor? You pay for your own transport?
So what happens that in our salary currently that we get, there is a package that serves for you to use part of your salary and go to various areas that are affected in the community and deliver on some of the issues that your constituency wants you to deliver on. And that package, in our view, is as efficient as possible. Our argument is that we want to ensure that management, officials, and money that comes from provincial and national government in our adopted budget should be used in an effective way so that services can be delivered. So we're not against councillors saying that councillors have to have a remuneration for them to go up and down to deal with issues of service delivery. The issue is that you have a situation where services currently are at a dire state. Infrastructure is collapsing in the city. You have potholes all over the city. So how do you solve that? You don't solve that by giving a councillor more money. You solve that by ensuring that you have a financial stability. You have officials that are doing their work. You have an executive that has a clear vision. And by doing that, you need to have a stable government. So by giving councillors more money, by giving a mayor more money, is not going to give you any of those results.
Where will this money come from? I mean, in your own view, will the city be able to raise the 5.5 million or the 20,000 rands per councillor? I saw that for the mayor, it might even represent an increase of, 50,000 rands, if I'm correct?
So what happens, normally the process is that national government through Treasury is the one that allocates these increments, which is then cascaded down to various, whether it's the province or the council, and those documents and those reports are then for council to adopt. So therefore, we as councillors, when we get into a council meeting, we then need to have a rationality behind it to say, are these increments worth for us to adopt in council, for them to be implemented so that the city can pay councillors? We are saying as ActionSA, at this state of time, you have to have a sober government, you have to have a sober executive that needs to have rationality to say to National Treasury that here in the city of Johannesburg, we have several problems. Giving councillors more money is not going to have an effective impact in terms of service delivery, but you'd rather look at the issue of how do you use money to implement issues such as the infrastructure grants, issues such as ensuring that potholes are fixed, that the issues of load shedding, empowering entities such as City Power and JPC so that service delivery can be delivered to residents of Johannesburg. not splashing money to public reps that is going to result in better services. That is not our understanding about this report. This report is just giving more money to councillors, but it's not going to deal with any issue or impact in terms of lack of service delivery in the city of Johannesburg.
Well, that is where some have also been critical to say even the decision by the president, after, of course, getting advice from the commission to give the 3% in itself would have been a bad decision to then cascade it down to the municipalities to say, well, then you decide whether you'll take the increase or not, is putting them in an awkward position because the National Treasury is talking about cost cutting. So where is the cost cutting if we are going to be giving increases to salaries of councillors?
Yeah, so I think those are the things that we are going to apply as a caucus because unfortunately, because this report has been passed by the vote of the DA and the vote of the ANC. But we have said as a caucus we'll go back and put the rationality in terms of what are the steps that we are going to take in terms of moving forward. Because we believe that we cannot just sit back whilst there is a dire backlog of services and the city needs a lot of money to fix some of these issues that the city has. And we said we are going to take a view of looking at this report and see if there's any other steps that we can take. Because unfortunately, in terms of provisions in the HR system, there's nothing that we can do to reverse this money. But we are saying that we are going to have a strategy around this and see how we can take steps to deal with this matter.
Councillor Zark Lebatlang, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on, representing ActionSA. They're opposed to this decision that has been backed by the ANC as well as the Democratic Alliance.